and welcome to the Cryptonaut podcast. My name is Mark Storrs, hanging out with me as always, Robert Thomas Morby II.
Here I am.
Thank you for being here, good sir.
My pleasure.
Excellent. Christopher Carnicelli.
I'm here.
Welcome as well.
I'm here, and Rob's over there.
Yes. I am.
And I'm, you know what? You know where I am?
There.
I'm right here.
Yeah.
Welcome to the show, boys.
We're together.
There you go.
That's what counts.
I'm not sure why I'm welcoming you guys to the show.
I don't know.
God damn it, we've all been here.
We're special guests.
Don't you feel like you should be welcome too sometimes?
The eternal special guests.
I did not feel as though I should be welcomed.
Oh, I didn't realize.
You're not. Okay,
I
you're
guess,
not welcome.
Well, then fine. I'll
So,
leave.
Rob, what are we doing today?
I never realized Mark considered himself the host. Now I do, and I'm happy with that. You are welcoming us into your studio week after week, and I'm delighted by that.
Okay. All right. Well, shit. Backed myself into a corner there, didn't I?
Yeah.
God damn. That's okay.
Way to go.
It's all right. All right. You know what we got going on, boys?
No.
Oh, shit. We got a Discord movie night coming up. The Devil's Sword.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Pronounce it right. Get an extra euro.
The Sword.
The Sword.
The Devil's Sword.
I love this fucking movie.
Rob is super stoked.
It's fantastic.
Period.
This is going to be super fun. We're talking Friday, July 28th, 8:30 p.m. EST, or as we call it here, New York time. And that, again, is on our Discord server, which is available through the Patreon. If you were a $1 or a $5, you can get access to that. Patreon.com/Cryptonaut podcast. Get signed up, get on that Discord. And yeah, it's going to be a super fun time. We're going to hang out. We're going to talk some shit, maybe drink some beers. Who knows?
Sure.
You know, it'll be a good time. So
the world is our oyster, collectively.
Yeah, no, for sure. Check that out. And as always, we have merch available over there at hellorspace.com, which is our TeePublic shop. And we also have merch available at cryptonautmerch.com, which is our crowd-made shop. And I told Christopher this, Robert, I'm not sure if I filled you in on this, but apparently TeePublic, there's now tie-dyed T-shirts.
Oh.
So if you want a design of like Hell or Space, the alien Baphomet, on a tie-dyed shirt, you can get that.
Dope.
Yeah. Then you can go to a Grateful Dead tribute show.
Yeah.
And not feel out of place.
Yeah,
go
dude.
see Fish.
Sure.
Oh, yeah. What's the other one? Dead and Company. Any number of whoever people that are rocking tie-dyes. So, yeah, there's a tie-dye option. That's kind of dope. If you want to get one of them shirts, check that out. Again, the links for everything will be in the description of this podcast. This week's show. Oh, I like this. And this is episode 299, by the way.
Oh, yeah, we're right on the cusp.
Oh, dude, we
are
there, dude. This is
300. That's right.
That's right. Case you can't count.
The next number.
I let that pause. The cusp of. Like, I don't know. This is a defining moment in a podcast's history.
True. I mean, for a TV show, if you make 300, you get syndication.
Oh, do we get syndicated?
I don't know if pods work like that.
I don't think they do.
I'm pretty sure they don't.
Are we on PBS?
Well, dude, PBS.
I do love that the IMDb now carries listings for podcasts, though.
Yeah, I saw that.
It seems odd.
Oh, I didn't know
because
that.
it is not part of the movie world, but what the hell?
Yeah, whatever. Hey, I mean, maybe we have an IMDb page now there. I don't know.
I don't know. Someone would have made it. That's not me.
Yeah, not me either. Chris, you on that shit?
If I can put something on there, I will.
All right, cool.
Don't expect it to be good or true, but
fair enough.
It's gonna be. I'll put it up there.
Hundreds of billions of downloads.
Yeah,
nice.
Like I had a former manager of mine make me an IMDb, and it is very reflective of the very nothing that I was doing.
Hey, whatever.
Loves
dude.
cult movies.
All right, man. Well, here we are.
Sexy in a one piece.
Speaking of some
I lied
cult
about
movies.
that.
Oh, Sexy in One Piece. Speaking of cult movies, Robert, this week we're talking about the Faceless Ones.
Yeah, this has nothing to do with cult movies.
It doesn't?
No.
Isn't there cult movies that put things on faces? Can't we tie that together like that? Make a little bridge?
Okay, yeah. No,
put a little bow tie?
I'm sure there's been a faceless thing in a movie. So yes,
Okay.
Speaking of cult movies,
Yeah.
the Faceless Ones.
All right, man. The ones without a face. Let's get started with Fortean lore is riddled with anxiety-inducing accounts of creepy critters, but few of these anatomical anomalies are more alarming than the eerie entities who are inexplicably born without a face. How these bizarre beings manage to stalk their prey lacking eyes, ears, and a nose, let alone consume it without a mouth, is an enigma that perplexes all who ponder the existence of these faceless, fear-inducing fiends.
Ponder away.
There's nothing like saying a bunch of F's when you have no front tooth.
That's right.
It sucks.
But you survived the challenge. Not only that, you thrived.
Yeah. You have a face.
You do.
I mean, I do.
First off, you win. We all win for being, faceful.
Yeah.
Not faceless.
It's a face better than
Is
nothing.
that the opposite? Are we facefuls?
It's really a face better than nothing, really.
Well, sure.
But that's never going away. You
No,
might as
I
well
know.
get
Dude,
used
there
to
is a meme about me, Mark, better than nothing. Like, I get it. It's cool.
Oh, I
mean,
forgot about that.
It's the greatest
You
thing
are,
ever.
though. So much. So much better.
It's okay. We're here. We're doing it. We're making it happen. Robert, let's get started.
The selection of enigmatic entities we'll be dealing with this episode were culled from the vast archives of yourghoststory.com. Our first case was added on August 11th, 2019 to the non-human entities collection. That's one of my favorites, by the way, by a user from Maine using the nom de plume Fellowish77. Though as difficult to categorize as the other beings we'll be discussing here, the inhuman entity designated by Thella as the faceless gray creature has a unique attribute which may help identify it, according to one poster, as a paranormal entity hailing from pre-Islamic theology. So that's a maybe.
Okay.
But it's there.
All right, we got some stuff here.
According to Thella, she and her family were sitting at the kitchen table eating dinner when she heard a crash behind her, which she took to be the sound of a cutting board falling out of a cabinet. Blasé, Thella continued her meal without so much as a glance, but when her mother looked in the direction of the sudden clamor and shrieked, the startled girl followed her gaze and was shocked to behold a creature unlike anything she had ever seen before. Hunched between the kitchen island and the counter was a very thin entity. Its gray skin was stretched taut over its bony humanoid body. Thella was stunned by the fact that this thing, though it had clearly defined arms and legs, seemed to move on all fours.
So real quick, not to cut you off, I think we actually may have covered this story on Patreon over there at patreon.com/Cryptonaut podcast.
It is a possibility. And I consider that too, though I'm not sure because at this point there are so many of those that I've lost track. But that having been said, even if we did, sort of like how we reversed into the Centaur on Patreon that we had already done the normal pod, we have never done it in context.
Oh, I like that.
This is context dropping.
Dude,
so even if it's redundant for our patrons, and if it is, I apologize, it's contextual now.
Yeah, it's ingredients for
it's
the
all,
whole
do you know
cake.
what?
The faceless souffle.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all about the miasma.
No loud noises.
Right.
We don't want it to fall.
No, the miasma.
The
Faceless
miasma.
bunt cake. Faceless quiche.
Oh, the miasma of the
yeah.
faceless quiche would be the name of this pod if this were a Patreon.
Yeah.
Is there a zeitgeist?
Always.
Awesome.
it's
I love
faceless.
And
it.
it's lacking in a single story.
Okay, perfect.
But now we'll get the gestalt. See, we're going to use all the German words.
All right, dude.
So, octung fuckers, we're talking faceless right now.
Back to it.
Right on. All right. So she's a little bit concerned that it's got arms and legs, but seems to be quadrupedal. That noted, by far its most arresting characteristic were its utter lack of facial features. It wasn't that they were absent so much as its flesh seemed to have inexplicably grown over them, compelling Thella to write, quote, "It looked as if its tight ashen skin was covering the features of its face, including its large mouth." Fucking icky.
Oh, God.
okay.
Yeah, it's awful. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Like the skin going over mouth thing. And that takes me back to like Fire in the Sky, even though that was all bullshit and Travis Walton didn't undergo any of those tortures. But when they put that weird like scum flesh over his body
Yeah.
and then his face is screaming through it, you're like, oh,
Scum flesh.
it really is. Because it's like dirty swamp flesh.
It's like a
is
weird.
what it is.
It's like a weird body rubber. Where you're like,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah,
God.
but brown.
People
and
do want that.
fleshy. I don't know.
Yeah. All right, man. Cool.
Right on. Intriguingly, despite the initial wave of terror that washed over her upon encountering this unnatural apparition, Thella claimed that she never got the sense that this being was evil, but her curiosity was aroused over the mere existence of said species. Curious or not, Thella's initial surge of fear had not completely abated, as she noted in her post, writing, quote, "When I saw the creature, I screamed and jumped over the table and got ready to throw my glass at it, but when I looked back, it was gone." Curiously, it was not the abysmal genetic atrocity sitting in their kitchen that had stunned Thella's family so much as her reaction to it. After barrel rolling over the table, her surprised mother was compelled to ask Stella why she'd quote-unquote jumped over the table. In response, the confused girl replied that she'd seen the same thing as the rest of them had, a faceless, gray-skinned mutant. To her astonishment, Stella's family simply stared at her with a combination of confusion and concern. That's when her mother told her that the only reason she screamed was because she saw a mouse. Yeah, that's some fucked up shit.
Oh, got some mesmer going on,
Possibly.
some camo, perhaps.
Ooh, feel it all out, man.
Right,
It's all there.
Cool, I love it.
When the rest of her bewildered family, simply nodded in agreement, Stella's initial horror at having seen an unfathomable monstrosity was replaced with a different, and in some ways even deeper set terror, that no one else had witnessed what she had. Stella's mindset shifted from basic fear and curiosity as to what this unknown creature was and how it had come to be in her home and what they were going to do about it, to speculating as to why she was the only one who had seen the thing, and perhaps even going so far as to question her own sanity, wondering whether some unknown psychosis had made her perceive an average mouse as a monster. Worse still, she was forced to consider the possibility that this bedeviling beast was not only extant, but that she would be forced to contend with it alone in a world in which she was the only one who could see it, and where it could spontaneously vanish. That's a shitty world to live in, friends.
Yeah, man. You got to be on guard. You got to have glasses ready to throw at this motherfucker all the time. Yeah, dude.
Half full, full, empty.
Yeah, whatever. Hot water, cold water, Kool-Aid, whatever.
Yep, whatever. Lemonade.
Sporks.
Napkins.
Arnold Palmer's. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Origami.
Could you imagine hitting this thing with a full-ass Arnold Palmer? You would crush it.
You'd think.
Probably kill it. Keep its head in.
Maybe.
Arizona iced tea might incapacitate it enough for you to get away.
No, that's
true. Okay.
And that's an endorsement from our non-existent sponsor.
Nice.
So, an alarming predicament that compelled her to ponder, quote, "I don't know why I was the only one who saw it, and I don't know why it didn't stay." This reality-shifting scenario, whether genuinely supernatural or just the new normal for this tragically afflicted young woman, changed the way she perceived the world around her, prompting her to write, "I haven't ever seen this again, but I have seen shadows and people in my house along with abnormal smells and footsteps." That's a big leap. I'm assuming the people aren't there if it's something you're mentioning.
Yeah.
Yeah. Huh.
I've always felt watched in my house, although it doesn't scare me. It just feels like someone or something is watching from the corners of the ceiling. The last place, with the exception of a half-open closet door, that I want invisible eyes looking at me.
You don't want this thing chilling in the corner of the room.
Not the
just looking
corner,
at
because
you.
that's where spiders live.
Yeah,
and other
dude.
evil things. Not that spiders are intrinsically evil. I understand that, and they eat bugs. I'm not anti-spider, but that's where shit lives that bites you and hates you. Like spiders.
All right, well.
I just said it. Fine. My mom and I, she continues, both can sense things that my sisters can't. Because of this, my mom does smudge the house every few years, end quote. Stella's account ended with a plea for help. If anyone has an idea what this could have been, please let me know. I would love to hear your ideas. Anything would help me to get some closure to my experience. Adding, I don't know if this means anything or if it was a coincidence, but the same year I saw it, we had an earthquake in my town. As I said, I live in Maine, so this is very uncommon. Though UFO sightings and earthlights, which are self-illuminated will-o'-the-wisp-like aerial orbs, are phenomenon that have been associated with areas prone to tremors and earthquakes, unusual entities are less likely to manifest as a direct result of tectonic shifts. That having been said, there are a few legends which contend that earthquakes have unleashed certain inhuman spirits, usually local deities, bird things too, I've read. And, of course, the tragically high and unexpected death tolls associated with massive quakes tend to, by default, increase the abundance of ghosts in a given region, though they often appear sometime after the event.
I never thought of that.
When a bunch of people die all at once, be it a shipwreck, well, that's in the ocean. So who's fucking being bothered in the ocean unless your boat happens to go through the path of a ghost boat? which I suppose happens.
Ghost boat.
Yeah, I mean, there's Mary Celeste and, Flying Dutchmans that are actually on the surface.
Yeah,
but there might be invisible ghost boats that you just sail over and you're like, why am I chilly? What's going on? Ghost
dude.
feelings in the middle of the ocean.
Oh,
Ghost boat.
There's probably a lot, really.
Touching hands.
Touching hands?
Yeah.
Touching you?
Reaching out.
Touching me?
I guess I never thought about earthquakes and massive deaths like that.
Tornadoes?
Yeah, hauntings.
Oh, the
and
hauntings
shit.
spike.
Yeah, it's got to be crazy.
After the tsunamis in Japan, I mean, the legends.
Yeah.
They did something on the Unsolved Mysteries that is now endemic to Netflix about the tsunami ghosts and the earthquake ghost and the Fukushima ghost, I'm assuming, too. So yeah, no, it just is going to be par for or in Nepal after they had those tragic earthquakes some years ago.
Huh. Well, shit.
It just goes through the fucking roof.
Nice.
Intriguingly, on September 8th, 2019, a user under the name Flammabore1712, Flammabore, sounds like something should be in D&D, contributed an intriguing theory that what Thela might have encountered was an often invisible, shape-shifting, pre-Islamic Arabian entity known as a jinn, which has also been anglicized into genie, so that's how we know that phrase, who are capable of portraying themselves as dogs, snakes, birds, and even mice, and, like humans, are neither innately evil nor innately good, but are accountable for their deeds, which means they can be agnostic, atheistic, worship God not. They're just other creatures, other intelligent creatures, more powerful than us, but different than us, that are subservient to a higher power, at least in Islamic tradition and pre-Islamic tradition.
Cool.
Be that as it may, I've never heard of jinns being faceless fucking nightmares in their normal form. So,
no,
I mean, that doesn't mean they're not. But that was the speculation of Flammabore 1712. And
okay.
bless
All
him
right,
for
they're
it.
flaming boar. Awesome. Sweet.
On August 28th, 2019, another user named Robin15 added, "This sounds very similar to something my mother and I once saw. We were in the living room and a creature exactly of your description peering into the window from outside. Freaky." End quote.
Okay.
That was the contribution?
That was the contribution.
That was what she said? Freaky.
Freaky indeed. And if this was anything more than Robin and her mother seeing a distorted version of their own reflection, or a would-be intruder with a sheer stocking obscuring his features, then our universe is truly a living, breathing horror show. Because that would be a fucking nightmare world to live in. I don't want these things around.
No.
Now, maybe they're great. Maybe they're wish-granting fucking wonderkin, but I don't think so.
Nope.
Because I'm judging them based on looks, which is something I always admonish against till you don't have a face. I won't fuck something without a neck. I'm not going to deal with something without a face. I have just protocols that I cannot give up on. They're small-minded of me. I get it. It's bigotry, but that's just the way it is.
I mean, I think I think over some time you might open your heart to those faceless necklace folks.
Maybe.
And offer them your penis.
That's a stretch.
Just saying.
All right, let's table that. Put a pin in that one for now.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about it anymore.
Because, what Chris said.
Chris is he's visibly disturbed.
Yeah.
All right, fine.
Moving on. Our second encounter was posted on March 17th, 2021 by a young mother from the United Kingdom named Rosie Wren under the heading of haunted places. So we went from, I think, non-human beings or whatever it was.
Right.
Inhuman creatures to haunted places.
Cool.
According to Rosie, as of the date of the posting, she'd been living in the same home, evidently split into at least apartments for nearly half a year without any supernatural experiences, save for, and this is a quote, bangings around the house that I've just passed off as being the neighbors when my children aren't home, or if the children, or the children if they are home. Even if they're in the same room as me, easier to ignore that way.
Okay. She's just living, okay. Sometimes you got to.
Eventually, Rosie, who has an uncanny knack for ignoring paranormal antics, conceded that, quote, "There have been a few loud ones that I couldn't pretend were either the neighbors or the children, though. It's not that it felt creepy or anything, so I've just been getting on with it. But recently I've had to accept that my peace from ghosties and ghoulies may not exist. Myself and both my daughters have had an experience now."
I mean, living in denial works, but at some point you got to be like, man, you fucking hearing this shit, dude? Like, what the fuck, man?
No, I mean, you can coach through a lot in life with that. And I think, I know I bring that up later, but you're right. At some point, you got to put the brakes on and be like, oh, the fuck, I got to deal with this.
Yeah, you just got to tell it to cut the shit. Like, look, fucking knock it
Yeah,
off.
I guess it depends how. If it escalates really far, but if it's just a few bangs and stuff.
Yeah,
I'm
but-
convinced that all of us, and that includes everyone listening to this podcast right now, has ignored what is very likely a bona fide paranormal event simply because you could just put it into a parameter you could comprehend in that moment. You
Yep.
didn't have the time, the wherewithal, or the desire to fucking deal with it at that second. And even if you thought about it later and thought, well, hot damn, that was a little snarky. Not snarky is not the right word. That was a little shady. That was a little fucking suspect. In that moment, you manage to categorize it as something plausible and you don't deal with it, and therefore it goes away.
Yeah.
And for a lot of people who don't revisit it, that's all it ever is, and they just forget about it.
I had a really small incident on my apartment when I lived on Barber Street, actually, where my dog Thomas and I were on the landing, and someone yelled his name, was like, Thomas. And he looked down, and I looked down, and there was nobody there.
Mm-hmm.
And the neighbor wasn't there. My girlfriend at the time wasn't there. And I looked at Thomas, and I'm like, how dare you
Yes.
acknowledge a
That.
ghost like that?
We ignore them
The
as a
ghost
team.
was.
Exactly. I said,
As a fucking team.
and I said, now, Thomas, we go inside, and we get no snacks tonight, good sir. Because we failed each other.
He learned. Yeah.
No, he didn't.
Did you give yourself snack-free time too?
We both had snacks.
Oh, good. At
and-
least you were
and
both punished
shame.
for this.
Yeah.
Snacklessness and shame.
Ghost ignorers.
Ghost
Yeah.
ignorers.
show.
Oh my God. Could
They
you
just
imagine?
walk around. They
Give it
don't
time.
even acknowledge
Nope.
ghosts
Not happening.
for a fucking hour.
Copyright 2023, Christopher Carnicelli. God damn it, because someone will take that.
Care of
Dude,
Cryptonaut Productions.
You are the anti Zach Bag.
Yeah. Just be like, whatever.
Oh my God, that's Chris to a T.
We got an EVP. Like, die. Like, whatever. Got any beer?
Pipes.
Die. Oh man. All right, getting back to it here.
Okay. She and her daughters have experienced it now. Ergo, denial is no longer an option.
No.
Okay, that's where we left off. She continued, stating that the first experience was mine. This happened about a month ago. It was bedtime. I like to play in my bed and procrastinate. I can't sleep as I am heavily pregnant at the moment. It's quite late. Both the girls are snoring away in their bedroom, and I'm just relaxing, messaging friends, and watching true crime videos. I have my back to the bedroom door and landing, and suddenly I feel a pressure on my bed. Even though it's a memory foam, it has a distinctive feel when someone sits on the edge of the bed, and even the noise of someone sitting down. I just laid staring at my phone thinking, nope, not today.
Oh,
Put my
man.
phone down and forced myself to go to sleep.
Oh my God, didn't even acknowledge
Like a
it.
skill. Like she might need to be like the actual host of the show
No,
because
dude,
it's
for real.
beyond.
For
Dude,
real.
I can't stand this in any story.
Yeah.
Whether it's like you just ran away from a monster or something in the woods and you're just like, well, I was tired from the ram monster that chased me with fire coming out of its dick. But I just saw him going to bed. I'm like, no, you do not go to bed.
I
Like,
agree with
Dude,
Chris.
never,
That
dude.
is wholesale infuriating. Generally speaking, where I'm okay with it in terms of Rosie is that she's like, I'm owning this. This is some weird shit.
Yeah.
Fuck you, I'm going to bed.
Yeah, well, it makes sense for her.
Because it's
and
right
she
on
just-
her bed, so it's not like she
Yeah.
went home and then just got on with her life as
You
if
can't
nothing
feel
happened.
something sit on your bed and be like, just gonna go to bed now.
She can.
She did. She did.
Yeah.
I mean, fuck. Good for her.
Though she managed to turn a blind eye to the initial indications that there was a metaphysical presence in her home, Rosie was no longer able to ignore the phenomenon when it began to affect one of her daughters. Then, a few weeks ago, she says, my eldest daughter, 6 years old, and for the purpose of the story, I'll call her Bonnie, said she woke up one morning and me and her sister were still asleep. So she decided to lay in bed and read. She's oddly mature for her age, LOL. She said she heard someone whisper, Bonnie, in her ear. She said she knew 100% it wasn't me or her sister, but she also said she wasn't really scared. She was just confused. So, second thing, talking to a kid. Sitting on a
Yeah.
bed, talking to a kid.
Yeah, not cool, dude. Crossing lines there, man. You got about to call Chris Hansen. Have a seat.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, kids involved.
Yeah.
True.
That's right,
Have a
Chris
seat. No. Hey, I know you don't have a face. There's a chair. Sit.
Chris Hansen.
You don't need a
the-
face to get Hansen.
the paranormal version.
Could you imagine?
Hey, Mothman, why don't you have a seat? You go.
No,
what?
I'm going to disappear. No,
I know.
just have a seat.
Yeah, there
Like
you go.
no one can apparently resist the compelling of a fucking Chris Hansen to take a seat.
Yeah.
Like I think that defies all paranormal. That's better
Dude.
than Jesus Christ compels you in an exorcism.
Yep, no.
If he tells you to take a seat, doesn't matter who or
Yeah.
what you
You're
are.
having a fucking
You're
seat.
fucking sitting.
Yeah, and you are definitely going to be on a list and you're going to prison.
Oh yeah,
There
all
you
those
go.
things.
Yeah.
But he's not involved with this story. Okay. Unnerved by this eerie susurration, that's a fancy word for whisper for those of you taking notes. It would be the experience of her younger child, a 4-year-old, that began ringing alarm bells. Rosie wrote, then a week ago, my youngest, we'll call her Emily, had an experience. On Thursdays, it's just me and her as Bonnie is at school. I'll explain the layout of my downstairs a little for context. From the front door, there is a corridor. On the left is the front room door. In front, there is the door to the dining room, which opens up into the kitchen, which is narrow. I'm not sure I got a full picture of that, but there's a corridor. Then to the, I guess, left it was, there's a front room. And then that leads into a dining room, which leads into a very narrow kitchen. At least that's how I'm seeing it.
All right, man. Get rid of those doors, knock some walls down. Open concept, baby.
Open concept.
Open concept.
Monsters
Come
don't
on.
like open
No,
concepts.
dude, that's why there's no
How
monsters
often
in my house.
Do you hear about monsters in open concept
You
homes?
can't. You can't.
They got no nooks.
Exactly.
They need the nooks. They
got
live in the
nowhere
nooks.
they got nowhere to hide, nowhere to go.
They still have the corner in the ceiling with the spiders,
Nah, it's true.
but that's it.
It's true.
Okay. She continues. I'm at the end of the kitchen doing pots. Emily is at the other end of the kitchen talking away to me. All of a sudden, she swings her body all the way around and says, Bonnie, which of course is her older sister who's at school. I remind her that Bonnie is still at school, so I didn't need to say that. And she just looks at me confused, saying, but I just heard and saw something crawling. She wanders off to the front room, and after a couple of seconds, she let out a shriek like she'd seen a spider, spiders again, and came running back to the kitchen where I was still doing pots. She told me, quote unquote, it was in the front room. I asked her what it was, and she said she doesn't know, but it was pink. She adds here, Rosie adds here, for the record, she thinks Caucasian skin tones are pink. Fair enough,
Fair.
you're 4. And that it was crawling around. I said I couldn't see it, and she questioned how I couldn't see it because it was there in the dining room. I'm inwardly having a mild heart attack now, but try not to bring it up so she forgets and hope it's just her imagination gone wild. Because if we all know something about fucking Rosie, is that she can ignore a paranormal problem.
Yep.
But if her daughter keeps bringing it to her attention, that superpower goes fucking south quick.
Then you have to fucking go head on, dude.
And I will say it in a different way as I wrote it. Any hope that Rosie may have held that this account was just the product of Emily's youthful imagination were dashed when, while eating dinner in their living room a little while later, the child, when asked about the eerily ambulating enigma, blithely stated, it's gone to the neighbors now, I think,
Oh, God.
adding that the thing, whatever its origin, was scary.
Oh, dude. He went to the fucking neighbors.
Yeah. I mean,
Oh, man. And did you see it leave and go there?
These are a lot of questions I
Yeah,
would like to
man.
ask.
It just kind of goes out the door and you're like, no, don't go to the Robinsons. And fucking just walks over, opens the door, crawls in.
Resign yourself to having no answers.
All right, cool. Awesome.
Later that same day, after Bonnie had come home from school, the pregnant, nice, good reading, Rob. The pregnant mother of 2 was in the kitchen preparing a snack for her girls, which they call tea in England, in case you didn't know,
Okay.
when she was startled by the sight of her youngest, Emily, crawling, quote, into the dining room from the front room like a creepier version of Gollum. She stands up and tells me that's how it moved. She said, "Did you see it, Mummy?" And I said no again. And then she repeats herself that it was scary.
Oh, God.
Now thoroughly confused and more than a bit concerned, Rosie leaned forward, and though she was unsure what compelled her, she asked Emily, "Did it see you?" There are many terrible responses that a young child could have to a question like this, especially one posed regarding a creature as patently disturbing as the one Emily claimed to have seen on at least 2 occasions. But her daughter's response might be one of the worst I can imagine. According to Rosie, quote, she looked me right in the damn soul and she said, "No, he didn't have any eyes.
Oh, God. I mean, part of it, you're like, woo, yeah, can't see me, you blind motherfucker. But another part, you're like, oh, God, it had no eyes.
And then there's part of you like, it still knows.
Yeah, no.
It still knows.
It has that weird scent thing where like it can smell
or even
your
if it doesn't,
soul.
it just knows.
Yeah.
It just knows.
Ah, shit.
It doesn't need our senses.
Just the fact that the kid's crawling around like it, like, oh man, creepy.
Yeah, like you're just
weird.
you're fucking. You know, you're pregnant. I mean, I'm assuming very uncomfortable. If you're very pregnant, you're just trying to make snacks for the kids, whatever. Then the daughter creepily crawls in, like, "Hey, the evil thing was just like this, mommy. You didn't see it this time either." And she's like, "Fucking no," without the F word, because she's a better mom than I would be a parent. And then it's like, well, I you didn't see it. It's like, did it see you? And then almost any answer is going to be wrong.
Yeah, no matter what.
No matter what she says, but it's like, no,
all right,
it doesn't have eyes. You're like, oh, so this child's mouth shut immediately.
Yeah, God, you put that kid to camp. Go to camp.
Go to camp.
Go to camp.
Go to camp right now.
Yep, time
boarding school.
There you go.
Right from boarding school to camp.
Just a nice summer camp. You're good.
2 nights home.
There you go.
Go back to school.
Nice little art camp, like soccer.
No, I mean a good school, not one of those shitty whipping schools.
No,
like all the old British ones in the movies.
Yeah. All right.
Good boarding school.
All right.
From that moment on, Rosie had visions, likely just imaginary, though God only knows, of a, quote, bald, eyeless, golem-esque invisible creature crawling around my downstairs. So that's terrible. Likely doing her best not to alarm her pre-K age daughter, Rosie now asks at regular intervals if Emily has seen the eyeless things. Quote, she keeps reassuring me it's not back. So there's that.
At least, yeah, she's like, hey, you know what? No, it's not here. That's good.
That is good.
Now,
that's a win. That's a net win for the family.
Yeah, when she's like, Mommy, it's back. You're like, fuck. So, all right, cool.
In the end, as in so many matters involving the mostly unseen entities that occupy the darkest corners of our world, the twin defenses of denial and rationalization provided Rosie with an out that might, just might, mind you, let her fall asleep at night. As to her first experience, she writes, quote, I'm hoping the thing sitting on my bed was just a family member who has passed away just checking on me. As for Bonnie's whisper wraith, she adds, and that the whisperer was just keeping Bonnie company. And as to the faceless fiend that Emily imitated and that now somehow migrated into their neighbor's home, Rosie concludes, and whatever Emily saw stays at the neighbor's house. Ha ha. I don't think there's any ha-ha there.
Fuck you, Robinson.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Eat it.
Good luck with your pool party. It's going to suck when the faceless thing has to swim.
Oh, yeah.
All right, well,
maybe
at least
chlorine
it's
kills.
gone. No, probably not. It just gives it more power. All right, well.
The last addition to our motley menagerie of featureless malefactors was posted by a dad with the username Mabel Dog.
Oh, Mabel Dog.
Who offered a bold, if a bit overreaching explanation as to the origins of these, menacious marauders. As there appears to be no biological antecedents regarding the existence of beings that can exist sans the majority of traditionally essential sensory organs, save skin, then maybe we should stop considering earthly evolutionary explanations and start looking into those of a more eldritch bent. Specifically, that these bizarre beings may be less the result of natural selection and more the products of a supernatural selection. Or, to put an even finer point on it, that these bewildering beasts are not the outcome of biological evolution, but the demonic creations of a despotic, diabolical deity, aka the devil himself.
Oh, Scratch?
Making them, quite literally, hellspawn. This final encounter is a very definite case in point.
All right, man. We got Satan here. I fucking love it, dude.
And this is going to get a little dark.
Okay.
Oh, boy.
Oh, boy. How dark? Is this a trigger
nobody,
warning?
nobody dies.
Okay, good.
No puppies are hurt.
All right, good.
I mean, a kid goes through some shit.
Okay.
But I mean, it's got I suppose, a happy ending.
Oh, all right.
But maybe not.
Oh, fuck.
We'll see.
But maybe not.
All right.
So, yeah, I don't know. I guess if you're easily triggered by, I don't know, demonic shit, be prepared.
All right. I wasn't sure if it was going to get creepy. That's all. You know,
it gets creepy.
Like creepy. Okay, cool. Let's do it.
We're not good with knowing when to warn people because we have terrible taste and when to stop ourselves from exposing ourselves to shit.
I know.
Terrible taste.
I know.
Even though we're very sensitive men, we expose ourselves to all kinds of shit.
Awful.
That we never can wash from our brains. So do not follow our example.
Chris.
My new song.
Sensitive man. Sensitive man.
I'm sensing a new theme.
New shirt coming.
New shirt.
Jeez Louise.
Shit.
At the beginning of the school year, a Nebraskan dad was confronted with what seemed to be an ordinary, if unwelcome, occurrence. A phone call saying that his 5-year-old son had been crying in class. For a kindergartner, this would usually be no more than a case of teasing or separation anxiety. But as the worried father wrote in his January 19th, 2017 post, Black Faceless Mystery, something much more sinister seemed to be afoot. Quote, my story began late August or early September 2016. The school my son goes to called us and said he was crying, and when asked why, he told them that the mystery person, that's in quotes, and that's what he calls this thing, and it's a really weird name. You'll get used to it eventually, but it is a really weird name for a 5-year-old to name something.
Yeah,
like you think it'd be Dale or the Evil or whatever, but no, it's the mystery person.
Okay.
The mystery person told him to hurt his brother.
Oh, boy.
He said he wasn't going to listen to him, though. At the time, I didn't think much of it because school can be stressful for a 5-year-old that has just started kindergarten. My wife and I shrugged it off as his imagination. He does play pretend with normal things like Ninja Turtles and stuff, so at the time, this didn't seem too crazy. End quote. Whether conjured by the child's imagination or not, it wouldn't be long before this potentially diabolical denizen took to following the boy. Quote, a few weeks later, I picked him up from school and we went to Walgreens. On our way, he mentioned that the mystery person was following us. He got into the store and said, look, Daddy, he is crawling on the walls. He's crawling on the ceiling. I looked at him while he was saying this, and his eyes were definitely tracking something that I could not see. I asked him what his name was. He told me he can't tell me his name. I asked why not, and he said, because he has no face. He has no mouth, no eyes, no nose or ears. I thought this was getting a bit strange, but being a very rational person, I still assumed his imagination was just running wild. End quote. As days turned to weeks, the boy's preoccupation with this menacing and presumably imaginary being showed no signs of abating. Quote, he would still talk about having seen it at school over the next month. I didn't get many details about it until probably early November when we were downstairs playing. He said he had seen the mystery person at school. I asked him, where does the mystery person come from? He told me he comes from underground and is covered in fire. At this point, I began to suspect maybe there is a bit more to this thing than just imagination. There is nothing he watches or has ever seen that remotely resembles anything like he has described. He watches SpongeBob and Dora, and that's about it. My older son, who is 7, said the mystery person is not real. This made my 5-year-old upset. He reaffirmed to him that he was indeed real. Most of the time, nothing happens regarding this around our house. I would say 99% of the time, he is a completely normal 5-year-old. He has friends, is not super quiet, but is not very talkative either. End quote. It was at this point that the concerned, though not particularly religious father, got his first real clue that the thing his son was dealing with may be demonic. Quote, a few weeks later, probably late November, is when it started to get very strange. I was cooking dinner and I hear him from his room yell, Daddy, come look, come look. I put dinner on hold for a moment and went to his room. He was jumping on his bed laughing and looking out the window. He points to our neighbor's nativity scene that they had set up earlier that day across the street and says, look, Daddy, the mystery person. He can't get past baby Jesus.
Oh my God.
Now at this point, I am pretty sure there is a lot more to this thing than his imagination at work. That's the dad talking. This kid has been to church maybe 5 times in his life, although he did go to preschool at a church, which is where he learned about baby Jesus. He said baby Jesus was making the mystery person angry, so he left.
Oh, dude, baby Jesus out there with the defense. Just
Yeah.
out there holding that line. Oh, Shit.
You need him on the Bills.
I love the
Baby
Hey.
Jesus on the line, buddy.
Yeah, listen, our O-line this year is looking pretty fucking solid, all right?
Fair enough.
I want to imagine this little tiny baby Jesus, this little stand-up baby Jesus, just staring this
I
thing
mean,
down.
nativity scene Jesus is never stand, but that's fine. Let's do
No,
this.
in my mind, little baby stands up.
The spiritual incarnation of the statue.
Little tiny baby Jesus
Stands up.
Stands.
Okay.
Like this, and he's just staring.
Does he have a baby crown of thorns?
Doesn't even need one.
Does he have like a fucking cross scepter
You mean like
that he wields like a weapon?
the actual thing comes to life and stands up?
Yeah.
So that the
I
whole
think that's worse than the demon.
All right.
Like-
all right.
I'd be like, no.
And baby Jesus came to life, he's defending me from the demon. All right, weird. And now the thing made the fucking demon mad. So, don't piss off baby Jesus. Here we go.
Though the sinister specter may have left the nativity statuary in a huff, it seemed more determined than ever to coerce the child into malignant deeds. Quote, about 3 weeks later, it got worse. He was outside playing during recess and just started crying. The teacher asked him what was wrong, and he said, the mystery person told me to get the sharpest metal and kill my friends.
Oh, fuck, dude.
Tough. At this point, the school needed to have a meeting with us to address the issue.
Shit.
The next day, my wife went to meet with them, and she finds out that the counselor had asked him what it looks like. He told her his skin was black and he wears a hood. He was very precise about it, going as far as to mention that it was not like a black person, but black. That's all caps, so jet black. What was that? The one word I didn't know the other day, Vanta black?
Oh, yeah, Vanta Black.
He had also mentioned that it lives underground, underneath his classroom, and that it was going to leave on the first day of winter and return in the spring.
Dude, does it go to Florida?
Going to Florida?
I mean,
Going to
this
Florida, dude.
This
Just
is a
gonna hit the beach.
It's a good time here. I want to hear all about this.
Does he
This
go?
kid's got a good thing going here.
This kid creeps me the fuck out, man. Holy shit.
A lot of elements.
Yeah.
A lot of elements.
Yeah. All right.
I suppose that, like the rest of us, demonic entities, mayhap more so than most, hate the cold weather. But I'd never heard of a diabolical being needing to vacation in the winter. This also struck the dad as odd. And this is what he said. I thought to myself, finally he mentioned something that does not align with demon. A few days later, I decided to do some research on demons and come to find out that this is actually a fairly common thing. I read about a demon and there was a line, quote, this demon, like many others, will leave on the first day of winter and return in the spring, end quote. I feel I should note, this is me, at this point that Maple Dog failed to cite his sources and that I have been unable to verify them using my tried and true methods of thinking about books I have read and multiple Google searches.
Oh, Google?
Yeah.
Google let you down on
Yeah, Google
this?
let me down, and anything I've read that I'm able to recall did not trigger this memory.
I think there's a couple folks out there that listen to the show that are demonologists. So, you know.
So if they know something about demons retiring for the winter, please let us know.
Weren't you?
You can go eat it. I
You're a
knew I
fucking
wasn't going to
demonologist.
avoid this.
You know, we're going to put Bobby in the demonologist.
I'm a demonologist
Oh.
at one place and one time. That's
Mr.
1979,
Demonology.
Miami Aerospace Academy.
Yeah.
That is the only realm in which I'm a demonologist. In every other realm, I don't know fuck.
I want on loop you saying Satanic Panic.
Satanic panic.
Satanic Panic. Just on loop.
Why can't that be my ringtone for you?
It might have
Or vice
to be.
versa.
All right. Well, if you're out there and you know about this stuff, let us know.
Sure.
If they go on vacation to Florida or wherever.
I mean, because it could very well be a thing, and it could be a quote from a very specific demon dealing with case.
I myself never heard of it either.
But as a Catholic school kid, and Chris is also,
Yeah.
that doesn't ring a bell.
Nope.
You know, I know Matthew talked about
Never
demons
heard
being
of
in
it.
houses, but
I mean, was this like part of the Circle of 12? Was this like one of their things?
it
No,
could go
no.
deep.
Okay. All right.
Despite my inability to sustain this assertion, the father claimed that his son, out of the blue and without explanation, let his parents know the exact date for the demon's departure and that it had arrived. Quote, we still have no idea how he knew when the first day of winter was. He wasn't learning that in kindergarten, and we didn't tell him, but on December 21st, he knew. You're going to know when the demon leaves. You're going to have a calendar
I mean,
totally marked for that.
is it part of like your advent calendar? Like you open up as a little chocolate demon?
Do you get to eat like little chocolate demons until the day the demon departs?
Oh, yeah. And then you get little crosses, little Santas.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Knowing full well that there was no logical explanation for his son's sudden grasp of the schedule for the winter solstice, MD, because Mabel Dog is hard for me to write, decided to take a proactive stance in dealing with the hellion trying to tempt his son, writing, "The next day, I thought, screw this thing. So I went to the Christian bookstore and got him his own little nativity scene and a cross necklace for good measure. I set out the nativity scene in our living room and told him I got a cool necklace if he wants to wear it. He didn't want to wear it at the time, so I hung it on the fridge. By the following day, yeah, I know. If I'm really thinking, if I'm like to the point where I'm going to a Christian bookstore because a loved one,
right,
a child that in my care that I care about is suffering from something like this, I'm going to maybe insist on wearing the crucifix.
He'd have a cross necklace, a cross hat, some kind of a tracksuit.
He'd be wearing Creed
whatever.
T-shirts.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be Devil Wears Prada, whatever Christian band I could find.
Striper, I'd pick Striper.
Yeah,
over Creed.
Just a picture.
He would look like a fucking bumblebee with a reliquary hanging from his neck.
And it's got to be like end of Creed Scott Stapp, or like he's a little bloated and kind of like drugs, and he's just like, "Can you take me higher?" And fucking that's an
uncannily good Creed.
That Super Bowl performance that they had, where there was just some dude that looked like he looked like Moby on some huge fucking. It was like one of those gymnastic things you can like glide across shit with. Like it looks like you're flying.
Oh my gosh!
You guys should look it up on YouTube. It's
I don't want to. After that,
dude, it's hilarious.
I'm so sorry that that's in your memory.
Yeah,
like I want to keep that
about.
far away.
No,
like,
it lives there, dude. It lives there rent free.
I only want that memory to be you telling me that right now. That never do I want to know another
random,
thing.
Or maybe it would look kind of like the dude from like Live without the fucking weird rat tail. Just some like shirtless bald dude flying around, and as he's Scott's taking him higher.
Hey, that happens.
Okay.
Maybe Creed's gonna play at Kegs Canal Side this summer, boys, with Trapped.
Ooh,
because they're playing.
Really?
Yeah.
God.
And Smash Mouth too.
Well, if we want to,
I think
alert
Smash
the demons.
Canceled.
Smash Mouth canceled?
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah, demons like Smash Mouth. They don't care for Creed though.
Their singer's not there anymore. Yeah.
He was Smash Mouth.
He got replaced.
By whom?
I don't know.
I never even knew the first singer.
Dude.
He's just the guy.
Yeah.
He was the guy with the striped goatee, the thick guy that sang. I'm not, hey, good for thick guys. I'm glad they could be rock stars. Shit, I root for them all the time. Being one.
That thick boy. Come on,
that
thick boy.
with the strappy chin.
Yeah.
He could rock.
Oh my God.
Jesus
Anyway.
So anyway,
continuing on.
The food is protected now.
Yes.
The food is protected. The cross is on the fridge. By the following day, the unearthly entity was already aware of the dad's plan and was not happy about it.
Fuck.
Quote, December 23rd comes and my son is looking out the window in our kitchen and he says, "The mystery person is gone, but he will be back."
Jesus Christ.
He pauses and points to the cross necklace I had hung on the fridge and says, "Daddy, the mystery person doesn't like that." I asked if he wanted to wear it, and he said, yeah, very enthusiastically. He put on the necklace and was dancing to a Disney song in the living room saying, "Oh, the mystery person is mad about this. He is very angry." That's my singing as a boy.
That's
my boyhood singing voice. That's a 5-year-old singing to a Disney song.
If my 5-year-old sounded like that, I'd be more concerned.
He is very angry. Mystery person doesn't like my cross. He doesn't like the Jesus.
Oh, God.
I can't believe you weren't a theater kid.
Really? It's a shock.
Fucking insane.
I know musical theater really should have been my life.
How was it
Instead,
not?
Because monsters took hold of my soul early.
Okay.
But it was this close.
All right.
Can you fucking imagine?
I could see you doing
Oh
it.
my God, I can't carry a fucking tune.
Nah, you could
I can't
do it.
stand to listen to show tunes.
could-
Jesus. God.
You could do it.
All right. Yeah, you're right. Big dreams. I'm 51. Time to start a new
You can go
new
back.
career.
We got time.
I can go
dude.
back. Let's do it.
Community theater.
Yeah, you're right.
There you go.
I'm going to black box theater my way to Broadway.
Fuck yeah, dude.
All right.
Hamilton with Rob.
But, I'll keep this going as a side hustle.
All right, fine, whatever. We'll support you.
Appreciate it.
There you go.
Okay. So he's singing about the mystery person. He's pissed. He stops and points right at me and says, "Daddy, the mystery person says, I know what you're trying to do." That's fucking, that's dark.
Oh, boy.
I said that I thought the mystery person was gone now, My son told me, he is, but I can still hear him.
Oh, fucking dude.
This is the point at which I think to myself, screw this thing. I'm getting a priest in here.
Okay, screw him again.
Double screw.
Until the fourth screw this thing.
No, first screw is a Christian bookstore. Second screw is I'm bringing a priest.
Okay, third screw.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Good luck.
Tornado gun.
Yeah,
blunderbuss.
Dude.
Yep.
No, dude, cross a fucking semi-automatic cross gun. Fucking shooting crosses.
You got to be able to see it.
You got to see it.
So
You
the
can't
kid's
see
the
it.
only one that can fire. Because he's the only one that can see it.
Got to arm that child.
Yeah.
No child left behind.
There it is.
Give him a cross gun.
You're not wrong.
There you go. Oh, man. What about what are those things? A slingshot. Yeah.
I think they're called slingshots. I don't know how to better say slingshot.
Yeah, I feel like that's going to be ineffective.
A slingshot.
I mean, what's it shoot? Is it shooting like blessed balls
No,
of
it's
fucking filled with holy water
it's
that
a cross,
Pope ordained or something?
Cross slingshot that you shoot
cross-shaped
crosses
slingshot.
with.
Oh, that's a lot of crosses.
Well, it's what this thing is affected
It's
by.
not super aerodynamic.
We figure it out.
Holy water balloons.
Nah.
Yeah, why not? I mean, it worked in Lost Boys. It works.
All right.
The science of movies has taught us.
We're getting a priest, Robert.
All right, we're getting a priest.
The priest is coming.
Yes. I found a priest that would come to our house and do a blessing. He asked me all sorts of questions about what books I read to him, shows he watches, games he plays, all that sort of thing. As far as I knew, there were no cursed objects in the house or anything like that. That's something you want to know, I guess. But then again, if grandma had a cursed object, she dies, doesn't tell you to be careful of it, you put it on a shelf, that's a fucking
You wouldn't even know.
Yeah.
intergenerational fucking.
Yeah.
So you don't always know when you're bringing a cursed object in the house. You go to a thrift store or garage sale, you got to be careful. I bought a light bright once. I'm pretty sure it was cursed.
Really? A cursed light bright?
At a fucking garage sale. Thought it'd be fun. Wasn't fun.
Your sister almost gave us some cursed stuff.
More than one person cut themselves on that.
Really?
You don't bleed from light brights.
No, you don't.
Not in my childhood experience. It's probably not cursed. It was probably just sharp.
Okay.
That's not
Sharp
the point.
edges.
All right. Well,
Not well made.
The point is you have to be careful when you buy used shit. And I used to like going to thrift stores.
Me too.
But Chris and I used to go to this cursed thrift store, and I wouldn't go upstairs after a while.
I think it still is.
Because it's evil.
I think the third floor is still.
And I won't even go into this first floor anymore.
at the trading post?
Oh, yeah. Fuck
Do
that
you mean
place.
Grandma Jerry's Emporium?
When you go upstairs,
Yeah, whatever it is
you
now.
get a cold spell on your soul that you won't shake it for a couple days.
Just the air blowing through the building.
Yeah.
Dude, there was
Yeah,
literally
you
the
comfort yourself with that
obligatory,
thought.
like black old baby carriage.
Oh, yeah.
there.
Like,
and
yeah,
I'm
the
shitting you not. You walk
preambulator
up
or
there,
whatever they used to call
and
them.
it's just like there. I'm like,
And it chased me in a couple of dreams.
I mean, they just reopened the upstairs, and it's like a bookstore now.
No, is it?
There's a tons of like shit
See,
up there.
you'd think that would be exactly where I'd want to be all the time. I won't go there.
I go there like weekly.
I didn't even know it was, if you see any good books, take them for
I'll
me.
let you know.
Sage them,
Yeah.
bless them,
Okay.
and then bring them to me.
All right. I do. I pull out comic books from there all the time, dude.
Are you looking for paranormal books?
Yeah. Oh my god, all the time. Yeah.
All right.
Totally.
I did find some great Bigfoot books there back in the
Yeah.
day, one of which went missing, just like the blue paper, in a fashion I've never been able to explain. It was right there in my car, and then it was gone.
it wasn't really there.
And it was one, I think, by Green, like one of the classic Bigfoot hunters. It was a
Shit.
green-covered paperback.
Okay.
I have the other one.
Well,
The first one I don't have.
I mean, there's been a management switch since you guys last been. Like I
I
said,
never blamed the management.
it's Grandma Jerry's Emporium. She's awesome.
I think it's just the place, man. I don't know if Grandma Jerry has
just
what it takes to
old,
end it.
big buildings with empty rooms and just like shit is just kind of everywhere.
I know
Just-
we're digressing, and so I know we got to get back to
Yeah,
this.
yeah, I know.
This kid's odyssey is important, but I will say this. And the first room that used to be the book room, not so bad, a little
No, no.
icky.
Yeah.
Cross the threshold into the great vast
Bas- yeah,
warehouse.
yeah, that-
the business of evil, where literally every third object is accursed.
Yeah,
and the fucking Warrens would have fucking freaked out and ran out.
right.
yeah.
in terror.
Every level got progressively worse.
Yeah, it was just
Like
bad. And the
second-
deeper you got, the
Like-
closer you felt like, can I even take another step
It's-
without losing my soul?
It's totally different now. Totally changed.
I'll never find out.
There's like it's all like consignment cases, and there's tons of dope shit there.
Okay.
Regardless.
So if you're in Auburn, check it out.
Or don't, if you value your soul.
I go there like all the time.
Mark fucking protects his soul in other ways.
There you go.
After clearly indicating that there are no cursed objects in the house, and that I wasn't showing him any horror movies or crazy stuff, so he had to confirm all this with the priest. So he comes over about a week later, As soon as the priest steps foot in our house, my son had a message for him. He said, "The mystery person wants to knock you out."
Oh,
That's such a
Jesus Christ.
5-year-old thing to say.
Yeah.
Just knock you out.
Oh, man.
Your
All right.
consciousness, thing of the past, gone.
All right.
The priest did the blessing. Everything was normal and went well, I thought. Since then, he hasn't been able to hear this thing inside our house. End quote. Though a degree of normalcy may have returned to the boy's life, the demon appears to always be in the back of the child's mind, laying in wait, poised to strike when least expected. Quote, I am somewhat worried because he's back in school now, and he tells his teacher the mystery person is underneath the classroom, sleeping.
Oh, it's hibernating.
Yeah, just waiting.
God.
Although his son has clearly seen and experienced terrible things well beyond the purview of a typical 5-year-old, MD has tried to remain logical throughout. After all, no one else at school or home has ever seen, or at least admitted to seeing, the black faceless thing for themselves. Still, he felt compelled to believe his son, if not for the knowledge that he inexplicably possessed, then for the sheer amount of details he afforded the creature. Quote, I am 99% sure this thing is real. I just have no idea how to explain to a 5-year-old what it is he is seeing. It has glowing red eyes at night, has a shield of fire. He said something one time about its body having like ornaments around it, and it tries to be sneaky. The school counselor says something like this is way outside the pretend range for a 5-year-old, and she has also seen him track it with his eyes. He sees a psychiatrist that has ruled out the possibility of him being crazy. He has asked us to make him go away. I have no idea what to do.
Oh, it's brutal.
That's something that you can really identify.
Jesus.
But don't worry. There's hope.
Okay.
Still, in even the darkest of abysses, sometimes a ray of light shines down. In this case, an evidently divinely ordained illumination. Quote, he learned himself that if he shows it Jesus, it gets mad and runs away. We never taught him to do that at all. End quote. Though never being forced, or for that matter even encouraged by his parents to turn to religion, the child was apparently converted in what is literally the most biblical fashion possible. He received a gift from God. On Christmas Eve, he was in the car and started laughing. He told us God gave him a present that means God will protect him and that he belongs to God now. I asked to see it, and at that time I had no idea what it was. It looked like a tiny medal with a cross on it. After doing a search, we found out it is a St. Benedict medal. St. Benedict, I guess, is the protector of school children and protection from demons. So,
No.
find this out.
I didn't know that.
But even now, while under heavenly protection, the boy's life is not completely demon-free. 23. Quote, we started taking him to church and he sees it outside of churches. I asked him what it is doing and he said, ominously one might add, that's my aside, he waits to attack someone when they leave here. For now it's been quiet, the dad continued. Nothing new, but if it comes back, any advice would be appreciated. On January 18th, 2018, nearly a year to the day, I think the first one was January 19th, 2017, from his introductory post, Mabel Dog updated those concerned with his son's welfare, writing, the first day of spring came, and my son said, the mystery person is moving quickly now, end quote. Unnerving as that must have been to hear, the father was evidently put to ease by what happened next. He had his meeting with the counselor the next day. The counselor asked him about it, and from what I understand, he told her that God says the mystery person isn't allowed to bother me anymore, and God showed me how to get rid of the mystery people. That's fucking plural.
Yeah.
So that's a lot.
There's more than one?
Well, maybe.
Fuck.
Dad continues, he has been much happier, just a normal kid. He told me a few weeks after his counselor's meeting, that to get rid of the mystery people, he tells them, God says you're not supposed to be here. And I guess that carries a lot of weight, being as it's fucking God.
Yeah, when God's like, not today, you're not supposed to be here. Leave.
And then they go back into the ground.
Oh, man, that's the worst.
A
It's
bit
so
strange, the dad continues, but I'm not worried about this anymore. He hasn't even mentioned seeing one for probably 6 months now. He still sees a counselor and all is good here. End quote. The question for the unnamed boy and his family, one they don't seem particularly concerned with asking now that the phenomenon has died down, is, were they dealing with a de facto demonic entity or an extremely troubled and very imaginative child? The question that we are left with, however, is broader in scope. What are these beings with which, if testimony is to be believed, we are sharing our world, our homes, and for an unlucky few, our lives? With the definite exception of the final case, these things don't seem to be outwardly malicious or hostile, though to be fair, 1 out of 3 cases is enough to represent an alarming trend. But the sheer horrific weirdness of a faceless humanoid is enough to raise the hair on the back of the neck of even the most steadfast spines. Add to this the fact that these inhuman entities seem to show themselves exclusively to children, 2 very young and 1 an adolescent, then simple fear no longer seems to be a sufficient response. Kids are in danger, and we not only need to find a way to protect them, but we also need to figure out what it is that they're being threatened by, 2 equally perplexing puzzles. Conversely, if one were inclined, a case could be made for the fact that these things aren't singling out children, but that kids just happen to be the only ones capable of seeing them in what is either a truism or a tired old trope which states that children, being more innocent, credulous, and open-minded than their older counterparts, are able to sense aspects of the world, such as the paranormal, that jaded, cynical, narrow-minded adults are blind to. In my own investigations into the unknown, I think I've told you guys about some of this stuff in the past, I found that aspects of this concept have proven true, particularly in a sixth sense, that is, as in the movie, as in seeing dead people kind of way. But as my dear friend Mark Storrs is so fond of pointing out, one must never underestimate the whimsy of a child.
Oh, you put me in the story.
Yes, you got it.
Oh, thank you.
In short, kids can be great liars with fertile imaginations. But I don't think this applies to the kids in these cases. In the first instance, Thella saw something which she couldn't understand, a confusion that was compounded when no one else seemed to be able to perceive it. In the case of Emily, it seems as if she was merely trying to relay something frightening that she saw to her mom, seeming just as perturbed, or at least as much as one that young who's accustomed to their ideas being rejected can be, when her mother claimed not to be able to see something that was so obvious and scary to her. In our final and most frightening case, we seem to be dealing with a truly insidious agent. Though, on a more cautious note, as much as we are supporters of the trust the witness theory, this case, despite Mabel Dog's assertions of borderline agnosticism, has all the earmarks of a story designed to send those suffering from psychological or very real demons flocking to the Catholic Church, which evidently managed to clear up all of his family's ills. With the caveat of, you better be aware because the devil is still waiting outside of the church doors, ready to pounce on sinners. This account may well be 100% accurate as to the author's experience, but it pays to keep an ever skeptical eye on anyone claiming that religion is an instant cure-all. So I just want to say that even to me, that story smacked of...
Yeah, no, it does.
God sent him a medal. And even if it's not, I really am disinclined to believe, because God doesn't seem to take an active effort in anyone's lives anymore, as opposed to like the Old Testament where he's just constantly palling around with Eli and fucking Abraham and Ephraim and whoever the fuck else, and just doing whatever he did. Like, was the school counselor a very religious woman? And when she saw the kid looking up at the gym or her office fucking ceiling, did she pass him a little medal? Did somebody else in his life think, oh, he needs this? It's a gift from God. And then all he remembered is like, oh, it's not that Uncle Ted gave it to me. It's a gift from God. So I'm very reluctant to believe that God mysteriously and miraculously put a fucking medal around this kid's neck.
Yeah.
Could have happened, but probably not.
Check the back of it. Does it say made in heaven?
Fair.
Yeah, if it doesn't, guess what?
But all that having been said, it still might be as Mabel Dog writes. And as far as they know,
could be.
And for a lot of parents, problem unseen, problem gone. Even though it's not, it's still sleeping under the school.
Right.
His son still needs to banish these fucking things. And let's hope his faith never wavers, because even if it's just a placebo keeping a psychological disorder in check,
Yeah, it could be.
if he doesn't have that faith to do it the way sometimes, the way literally in the movie Exorcist, it was suggested that an exorcism be performed on the girl because medical science had reached its, end point. And the mother was like, you're asking me to get a witch doctor for my daughter.
Right.
Which is a perfectly plausible way to look at it in, the scientific 20th century and the 21st century for that matter.
Yeah.
But that having been said, if it is real, boy, isn't that fucking unnerving.
Yeah, it's a lot there.
Finishing with my epilogue here, or at least ending. But assuming that any of these accounts, or the scores of others floating out in the ether, are essentially accurate, it seems as if we are dealing with a broad spectrum phenomenon. Though we ought to be cautious in assuming that it all fits under a single umbrella. Disregarding their similarity in physical appearance, i.e. being fucking faceless, and considering the many differences in the above accounts alone, I think it would be a mistake to assume that they have an identical origin. Perhaps if earthquakes were a factor in the first case, then maybe this shape-shifting trespasser was merely a visiting euphonaut who, through quantum entanglement or whatever other bugnut crazy science makes flying saucers manifest during tremors, suddenly appear in Thella's kitchen. It's a thought.
Yeah.
What if Rosie and Emily's golem was just a part of a roving pack of migrating interdimensional critters who briefly appear on our plane of existence, sensing their surroundings through sonar or some other magical 11th dimension sense, maybe sample some food, take an invisible shit, and scare the living bejesus out of any kids unlucky enough to catch sight of them? I mean, why the fuck not? It's as good an explanation as any.
Yeah, you nailed it there.
As to say the least, uncomfortable experiences of a family who now have to live with the fact that evil truly exists, even lives beneath a kindergarten class somewhere in rural Nebraska? Well, that's a nightmare we're all going to have to dwell on. And as far as I'm concerned, hell is as good a place as any for those freaky fuck-alls.
No.
And that is our Faceless Ones.
There it is, dude. The Faceless Ones. I mean, yeah, all right. So, I guess obviously with the first couple cases, they're dealing with something that only these kids are seeing. That's the overarching thing that we're dealing
all
with.
three
here.
cases.
All of them. Only kids.
And
are
adolescent.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe
only
that-
described as a teenager. So I don't know if we're dealing with any. I mean, it's anywhere, I guess, from 19 to 13.
Maybe
but
we're dealing with like that kids are just more open than, adults are to seeing shit. Like,
Well,
I don't know.
I did say that. And that is, like I say, it's either a truism
Right.
that people have said since a time immemorial. Kids can see it because adults are too jaded. Or it's a fucking trope that paranormalists trot out anytime a kid sees something that an adult can't.
You've had firsthand experience with it, though.
And
And something that we can't get into
Yes.
it, but you've had firsthand
but it was very
experience
Sixth
with this.
Sensey, and so
Right.
you can read into that
I
very
mean,
easily.
Maybe they're just maybe if they're perceiving things that we can't. I don't know,
I
man.
do think-
I don't remember seeing.
By
shit
the
as
way,
a
I
kid.
think that's a possibility. I don't think it's common. I really don't
Right.
think it's common. And maybe some kids are more innocent and more open-minded than others. I remember, I fucking knew Santa wasn't real when I was 4 or 5. I mean, I just figured shit out.
Yeah.
So maybe people that are more pragmatic genetically are less inclined than people that are more credulous genetically. These people, maybe they'll grow up to be naive. Maybe they'll grow up to have some negative aspects to it, but also they might grow up with a sort of joie de vivre and a love of life that, more cynical fucks like me maybe don't embrace, even though I like to have, find a lot of things in life I do enjoy. But that having been said, I don't know what the genetic or environmental parameters are that would allow for certain children to be more likely to experience paranormal things and other children's less so. But I will say this. I do not think it is a commonality to children as some people propose. Some people propose all kids are more likely to see paranormal things, be it fairies, ghosts, whatever, because of their just intrinsic innocence, and then it gets beaten out of you as it gets older. I know that probably happens for a certain few, and we all get beat down through life. That's just life. That's fucking LIVIN. But I don't think it's universal, because most of the kids I know and have talked to, and I've been close to kids as an adult. Obviously, we all had kid friends when we were kids. I don't recall this being a universal,
No,
or even,
maybe
even a semi-regular thing.
No, this is a new kind of thing. I think that's happened. I don't think that the chances of a child being susceptible, I think there's probably, if you dig, just as many adults that had
More so.
right succumb to something that, so I don't, I mean, when you're a kid, your brain is just not even, it's still developing.
Which is an argument some people actually make,
That was
saying
going to be my argument.
the undeveloped brain
And that just makes no
enables
sense.
it to see things
As-
that
Like,
as your brain grows in your
or becomes
skull,
more solid. No, well, not just that, but becomes, as the connections become more entrenched and less open to change, even though we can constantly grow and expand, that you are less likely to see things that are on the periphery of the world, that pierce the veil, as it were, because a growing brain is open to all sorts of inputs, electromagnetic and otherwise.
Yeah.
Again, this is me talking like a 1950s scientist in a B movie.
No, right. You're just
but that's
spouting what is
I mean,
being
that was
said,
my,
but
that
I'm
was
not
my whole
buying
shit.
that.
You just took my whole theory.
Well, I'm not saying it's wrong.
Yeah, because as the brain grows, it perceives as it grows in the skull.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that was that. No, you nailed it with that. I don't know why. Why I paraphrased Mark is a mystery to me.
Yeah.
All right, so getting to the kid with the demon here, that might be something completely different. This kid could very well be experiencing a fucking demon.
Yeah.
I mean,
if we live in a world where there's fucking demons, and as we all know, I don't technically believe in demons, but I have enough Catholic background so that I'm not going to just piss in the face. But then again, I have enough horror film watching background and horror novel reading background to know you don't piss in the face of evil just because you don't technically think it exists. Because that's like baiting it, if on the off chance it is real, to come fuck with you.
I mean, unfortunately, though, this kid could be suffering from some sort of psychological
Tragically,
disorder.
yes.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Except he obviously, whatever it is, even if it is something psychological, he has a fucking system for it.
And it works.
And he got a gift from
evidently.
God. I mean, who the fuck gets a gift from God? Who's the last person that got a gift from God?
Old Testament,
Yeah.
maybe New Testament. I don't know. I'm not a
He ain't
biblical
giving
scholar.
away shit no more.
He doesn't.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, there's
He
a lot
doesn't
of-
show up and talk to people on a regular
He
basis.
don't do shit no more. He retired. He's like, I'm going to be in the golf course.
Yeah.
Sure seems that way.
Yeah.
Compared to
So-
the fact that almost everybody, either through him directly in the Old Testament or through Jesus and his miracles in the New Testament, granted in a very limited geographical area, got to taste all sorts of reasons to believe in something more.
Right.
That is not a phenomenon that has really been exercised in any vast way in the last 2,000 years.
And he talks to evangelicals a lot. They claim it.
Yeah.
Jesus told me in prayer.
I
Which,
mean,
whatever.
He
Hey, man.
went to
cool.
a Christian pre-K thing, right? Did they say that?
He went
Catholic?
to it was at a church. And in all fairness, Peyton and Hunter went to one at my old Catholic school, Blessed Trinity, that's now closed down.
Yeah, my kids went to Westminster.
And they do like a modest amount of Christ talk.
Yeah, there's not a lot at all.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
but I don't know in Nebraska how that shit works.
That's just a flag.
That could have been
Okay,
deep
all right.
indoctrination.
and
Could
it's
be.
just to the point they're just like, well, it's clearly not. He's not clearly hyper imaginative, so it has to be
Right.
I'm like, really? That's the thing you're throwing out? Like,
Yeah,
like
no, that's-
immediately?
Yeah, I mean,
Especially-
mixed with maybe some other thing, but you're going right to. I'm just like, okay, well,
yeah, no, you would.
I don't know, man. There's
especially
a flag there.
a kid at that age. I mean, their minds are just they're
Sponges.
fucking wide open.
Yeah.
like they're constantly going. And
So a
constantly having shit
couple
happen.
words about the eternal love and support of Jesus. Fine and dandy.
Yeah.
I mean, it's good. It's good to have an
Whatever.
emotional, even if it's not real. It's good to have an emotional and spiritual crutch if you need it.
If it works for
So
you,
I'm fine with
cool.
it. I
Yeah.
have no beef with it whatsoever.
Same. Whatever you gotta do.
But if you start doing that same thing on the converse side with a child's mind about the devil and the things that are trying to
Yes.
pull you underground,
Yep.
and they are fiery and they live beneath
Yes.
you, then suddenly a child's mind makes it beneath his kindergarten class.
Right.
A child's mind says he banishes these things and they go into the dirt,
Right.
which doesn't mean that it's not really happening, but is a way of maybe addressing it from a more prosaic, scientific point of view.
It wouldn't take it wouldn't take a really heavy explanation of something to a 5-year-old kid with a hyper imagination
No.
to build this world. That this is the world. This is what happens.
The flaming
a simple
shield,
story.
kind of cool.
I know. I
And
love-
the
also, it's got a
dangly
shield,
ornaments.
Yeah, man, it's kind of cool.
And
Jet black,
Yeah.
no
Wears a
face.
hood.
So is it a
Yeah.
cloak? Because it's not.
Oh.
My first thought was hoodie because I thought I
Yeah,
read
no,
the word
cloak
hoodie,
was,
but
Yeah,
it's got to be a cloak. It's got to be a diabolical
Sounds like a
cloak.
cool
Yeah.
D&D character.
No, yeah, I'm like you clearly watched somebody play Assassin's Creed, Diablo,
Right. Or
and you
I
just
mean,
amalgamize.
even if it was something
All
like
you have to do is be at a parent's friend's house
Like,
where they have a
I don't
teenage kid
know
or a middle
where-
school age
right.
kid.
I mean,
you
it's
could
everywhere.
probably put this together through Adventure Time, for Christ's sakes.
Yeah, it's true.
Honestly.
No, there is enough of that in there.
Yeah.
And I love that show,
Oh,
by
no,
the way.
I
It's
love it. Me
amazing.
and my kids watch it all the time.
And it's
Yeah.
good for kids to like expand their mind that way
Yeah.
because it's clever and you'll be able to get it
Well-
on different levels as you get older. But yeah, I agree. There is some dark imagery.
I mean, thankfully though, this kid, I mean, collectively got his shit together more than most adults.
and it wasn't the adults that did it for
No,
him.
it was he did it. He pulled himself up by his goddamn spiritual bootstraps, and now here he is fighting demons every day. Good
Which
for
is
him.
another thing that is a red flag for me,
Right.
and it being a conversion mythology
Yeah, it
put
could
on a
be,
paranormal website to have people that are sensitive to these things.
Right.
If you're reading about demonic possession, you're doing one of a very few things. You're either mildly interested, you're writing a book about demonology, you're
Us.
doing a fucking podcast, or you fucking feel like you might be under siege by a demon.
Right, so perfect time to go on there and kind of plant some seeds of.
So we
like,
got to at least acknowledge that that's a possibility.
You know, I will say though that on this website, this Your Ghost Stories, where you got these from, I have seen some pretty heavily bented stories like that because I've gone there before for resources.
Sure.
And I'm like, oh,
And it's
okay,
a
this
fun
is a lot of
resource like so many others.
Jesus talk, like for sure. So,
But if that's, they are taking posts from individuals, and if that's an individual's inclination, then that's what you're going to get.
right,
But this one is deceptively not super Jesus-y. It is more like, like, this is not what we're into. He's gone to church like 5 times. He went to a preschool there, but it's not like a big deal. And so it's as much a surprise to me as it is to you.
yeah,
if
which
that is the truth.
Yeah, which is interesting because he kind of goes out of his way to kind of say that, but I mean, I guess if this would help the kid get over this, and he's obviously there's no harm. I mean, possibly psychologically this could be fucking.
If
with
this
him.
got triggered by whatever, then this has the best possible outcome, whether it's genuinely demonic or something psychological or something sociological where he just got exposed to it in a really dark way at a young age, which I hope isn't the case. I hope all of it really isn't the case.
Right.
I hope this is a lie.
No, same.
But assuming any way he's dealing with it, the best case scenario would be if it's real demons and the real God really gave him a necklace and really told these fucking demons how to fuck off, and he is comfortable doing it. That puts him in a great position for someone that's going to be seeing demons probably the rest of his life.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a head start on everybody else.
Yeah.
Honestly.
I mean, I wouldn't
He really
tell a
does.
demon to piss off.
No.
God says scoot.
God says you're not supposed to be here. All right, well, shit, there you have it. Cryptonaut Podcast. Thank you all so very much for joining us. Robert, as mentioned in this episode, I'm going to actually bring this up here because I said, I think this story was on Patreon. If you check us out at patreon.com/Cryptonaut Podcast, Patreon episode number 100, Psycho Pig and the Contra Beaver.
Oh,
that is what that first story was.
love that
so if you
title.
sign up for Patreon and you haven't yet, you can go there. You can listen to it. It's super fun. But Robert,
I don't even remember my initial responses to it, so it'd be fresh.
Hey, dude, exactly. So check that out. Robert, we have some Patreon shout-outs to do. Good sir.
Donald Palmer,
Thank you, Donald.
Lenora Bird,
Oh, yeah, Lenora, thank you so much.
Michael Cortez,
Thank you, Michael.
Dill the Yowie Hunter. I think he's a revisiting patron.
Oh, thank you for coming back.
Yeah, thank you for, if you have to leave for whatever reason and then you take the time to come back later, that's heartwarming. Ryan P.
Hell yeah, Ryan.
Troy Scantamburino.
Yeah, what up, Troy?
Scantamburino. I think I said the T twice.
Scantamburlo?
Oh, is it an L?
Scanton Burlow, yeah.
Oh my God.
I'm like, Tino. I'm like,
I fucking just annihilated this name. Scantamburino.
I'm just like, I thought you were going to just, I thought you were just kidding when you said that.
It's Troy S. Yeah, it's my new scat thing. It's a side
Yeah,
project.
I'm in.
All right.
Yeah, I'm in a 4-man scat band.
All right, we got it.
You two are in. You didn't know.
All right, cool.
All right, Troy Scantamburlo,
Thank you, Troy.
Mr. Scantamburlo. It's an interesting pause in the middle of your name. It's a fancy name. It's a challenging name for me, and I thank you for your patronage.
We did it.
Holy, and we're probably going to need to redo it.
No,
I'm sure I fucked it up.
No, we definitely nailed it.
Oscar Garcia.
Thank you, Oscar.
Nailed you right out the gate. Thank you, Oscar, for having a simple name. No offense, Mr. S. Not going to try you again.
Jesus
Peter
Christ.
Serrato.
Thank you, Peter.
Brenna Guinea.
Thank you so much, Brenna. And again, man, it's patreon.com/Cryptonaut podcast. Coming up, we do have our movie night, and that is happening on, as I love the picture on my phone. Where the hell did the picture go? There it is. Discord movie night, Friday, July 8th, 8:30 p.m. EST, New York time. The Devil's Sword.
August 8th?
No, July 28th.
Oh, I thought you said July 8th, I think, first.
Oh, did I really? No, July
Okay.
July 28th.
Okay.
The last
I'm so
Friday of July,
Yes,
right?
the last Friday of July,
I'll
the
be out through
28th, 8:30 p.m. EST on the Discord. Check it out. Both you're the $1 and the $5 get access to that. Hell yeah, there it is. The Instas, Twitters, and the Facebooks, socials, medias. We're doing it. We've got the Heather Spaces. We've got the Cryptonaut merches. We have all that stuff happening, so be sure to check it out there. Closing this episode out, though, Robert, it was your birthday, good sir.
It was.
Happy birthday, 51.
Fuck yes.
You are the one friend we have that is leading the charge into old age.
That's what happens
You
when
are
you're the oldest friend.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we appreciate your
So
excellent-
I'm not leading in any way that's indicative of my responsibility or my ability to lead.
We appreciate you heading out
True.
there and trudging before us to let us know how everything goes with AARP and whatnot.
But with birthdays come gifts.
Oh, you got some presents,
And
buddy.
I did.
Yes.
I got one gift from a supporter of ours from way back who asked to remain anonymous.
Cool.
And I will respect that.
Totally.
It was a wonderful gift, a really cool paranormal book. I'm
Awesome.
super stoked about it. Came with a wonderful card and a very sweet letter that was very uplifting, and I appreciated all of it. So thank you, anonymous you, who know who you are and no one else will.
Yep, there you go.
Got another book. Didn't know about it till today because you brought it in.
Yeah.
It is the Mystery of the Ancients. Isn't that so cryptic and
It
lovely?
really is.
It
By
is.
Eric and Greg Umland. And this comes to me from, I think, a guy who didn't care to remain anonymous, Ian Campbell.
Thank you, Ian. Ian's over
A patron, a
he's from-
supporter.
he's on the Discord. Yeah, cool. Now,
Canadian.
Go-
Makes him, it's the trifecta of
Yeah.
awesome.
totally. Also, too,
Thank you, Ian. And thank you, other person.
Now we got another gift from one of our Discord folks. You're also obviously a listener here. Fiber Goblin.
Oh, yeah.
Now they sent us this, and I'm going to put a picture of it up on the Instas here. But
Dope as shit.
now this could be a Crockfoot or a Mark Squatch.
I'm going with Mark Squatch.
Mark Squatch.
Yeah, that makes
There's
sense.
Mark Squatch,
Yeah.
because there's some pit vipers.
Yeah.
There's some little baby.
So it
crocs.
goes beyond the croc.
Oh, dude,
But it does.
Yeah, right.
Is
Yeah.
it an adorable, sitting, manufactured hairy hominid with pit vipers and crocs? Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Does it remind me of Mark? Most certainly.
And they were also cool enough to send along a Fresno Nightcrawler, which is super
Yes,
cool.
that little
Yeah.
guy is dope as shit again. That's my adjective.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. So again, thank you, Fiber Goblin. Be sure to check them out on the Instas at Fiber Goblin Goods. You can just follow them on Instagram. Check them out there. Also, too, there is fibergoblingoods.com. And I believe they are also Fiber Goblin Goods on the Facebooks. So go there, check out their work. It's awesome. I looked at a bunch of their stuff. I'm pretty sure that they do like custom cryptids too, which is pretty cool. I'm pretty sure I saw like this awesome looking flatwoods. So check all that out. And thank you all for your gifts and your packages and your support. It's
Yes.
awesome. It's so cool when we go to get our mail. It's fucking wicked. So we can-
Getting gifts is just such a great joy.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah,
obviously,
no.
when you're supporting with Patreon, thank you, because that just keeps the ship afloat, as I
Yeah.
said, and Chris and I personally afloat. But you know, little tiny surprises in the mail are always great joys.
Oh, yeah.
always
That's
great
awesome.
joys.
No,
So thank you for that. And I think you might have nailed it, but just to be sure, on the Instas, it is just at Fiber Goblin. No
Oh,
goods.
really? Oh, did I screw that up?
I don't know if you did or not, because I only half listen when you say things sometimes. Not because I don't love what you have to say, but when it's the minutia of shit. I
I think
to
I
zone.
may have. Well, in the letter here it says, just go on Instagram. Here's the thing: just go on Instagram, type in Fiber Goblin.
It'll take you there.
You will
Regardless.
find
Yep.
them. They
You
are
will
there.
not find them.
Exactly. So there
And
it
this
is.
shit is incredible.
It's awesome, dude. The Mark Squatch is fucking awesome. It's so fucking cool. I'm so stoked on this. So there it is. Thank you all so very much. And we'll be talking with you next week when we come back for episode 300.
Can't believe we made it. Can totally believe we made it, but I'm really glad we made it.
Well,
I know, right?
come around next week and see what's episode's
what,
going to be.
What are we going to do? Are we going to
know.
do something special? We're
I don't
not. At 100, I think we did Van Meter.
I think we did.
I
yeah.
think at 200, we just did some really crazy rando thing about a transformer
Transforming terrors.
running amok.
Yeah.
And that was pretty fun, but
It was.
totally like not famous.
Totally.
So you don't know. You don't know if you're going to get something famous or something obscure and
there
weird
you
or
go.
something that's a little both. You don't know yet.
Oh,
We know.
shit.
That's the
Wow.
privilege of being us. Because, we have to do it. But
we're us.
you guys next week,
There you go.
you're in for a treat. Let me put
Episode
it that
300
way.
is going to be, I think this might not want to spoil it. Could be a multi-parter. We're not sure
It's
yet.
almost certainly
Okay.
going to be at
All
least a
right.
two-parter, and I say that knowing full well that I don't get to decide these things.
Yeah.
The pod decides for
So
me.
when 300 goes from 300 to 309, we're going to be like, fuck.
Yeah, well, we're gonna do a 300 pod celebration in a 10.
Yeah, okay,
in a roll
yeah.
of 10.
Yeah, okay.
It will not be that long.
It's our pod celebration weekend. There
Try
you
to
go.
get it done in 3.
It'll be a whole month of pod celebration.
Wow.
Yeah, there it is. Thank you all so very much. Talking to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.